Welcome back, guys. This is Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. Today we are going to talk about a treadmill behind me. It is the Bells of Steel residential manual treadmill. Now, I gotta say up front, I don't think this treadmill is for everybody, but I did want to go ahead and review it because I do think it is good for a very specific person. When I saw this, I actually begged for us to go ahead and get it in because it looks so cool. I've never seen a manual treadmill with such like a cool modern aesthetic. I mean, look at this bad boy, right? Like, it is so pretty. But for how pretty it is, I was equally hoping it would be just as good. It is not, in my opinion. Now, we are going to get into all of the details and all of my thoughts on this Bells of Steel manual treadmill, but first, make sure you are subscribed to our channel. Also, if you do want to purchase this treadmill, we place a link below the like button, making it super easy for you to use that link. When you do use that link, it does give us a small commission, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. And lastly, as I have said, the company did send this to us, but as you'll see in my review, I am always honest and I'll always tell you like it is. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with the Bells of Steel residential manual treadmill review. All right, so somebody I think that this treadmill would be good for is somebody who wants to keep this in the house, okay? Like, obviously, this is not your typical piece of gym equipment. Like, this is not some just like black powder-coated like steel and whatever. Like, this is a like piece of art in my opinion. The wood makes this look super slick, super modern, really clean looking, and then the steel handlebars are black coated, but I think it fits really well with the aesthetic of the treadmill. Now, I am a big fan of Bells of Steel products in general. If you went ahead and watched my Bells of Steel lat pull down machine review, you'll know that I talked about all the Bells of Steel equipment that I have in my garage. I have the Hydro Rack, I have the open trap bar, I have a few other odds and ends. I really do like Bells of Steel products, so I was really hoping that this would be one that I would want to add to my gym. And while it isn't necessarily one that I want to add to my gym, Sam here at GGR actually wants to add it to his garage gym. So again, it's not right for me, but it is right for some people. First off, let's talk about the deck. Obviously, it is curved. Whenever you have a curved deck, that is just going to force you into a better running position. It's going to force you to strike with your mid part of the foot, which is what we want, or keep you a little bit more forward on your toes versus heel striking, which can just cause a lot of problems, a lot of injuries down the road. Now, studies have been done that whenever you run on a curved deck, you're actually going to have a 30% increased uptake of oxygen, as well as a 22% higher heart rate. So you're just going to be working a lot harder. So let's say, for instance, if you're running intervals on a motorized treadmill, or if you're running intervals outside, you're going to have less of an oxygen uptake as you would running on a curved deck. And I seriously noticed that. I've tested out this and the ProForm trainer this week, and I tried to do about the same type of style workouts on both the motorized treadmill as well as this treadmill. This treadmill kicked my butt so quickly. I thought, I am not in good shape, even though I am. I honestly was questioning any sort of conditioning ability that I had built up because I just found this to be a lot harder. So one thing I did notice about this manual treadmill versus something like the Assault Runner Pro is that the belt deck on this is a little bit more looser versus being pulled taut like you see with the Assault Runner Pro. And I think because of that, it creates a little bit more drag. So as I was running on it, it took me a while to get up to speed, and I definitely felt a little bit of resistance as I was running on it. Now, obviously, a huge benefit to this is that it is a manual treadmill and you don't have to have a power source, which I think is fantastic, especially if you're somebody who likes to do any sort of intervals and go ahead and drag your treadmill outside during warm weather. Obviously, you're not going to have a power source nearby. The overall machine weighs a little less than 210 pounds, but I did find it really easy to move around. It has wheels on the front and then a handlebar on the back. So really, I would say as long as you're strong enough to do any sort of minimal deadlift, I think you'll have no problem moving this. One thing that is beneficial about a motorized treadmill is that they require basically no maintenance along the way. The website even says the only maintenance required is a little bit of dusting, but there's no sort of tightening of the belt deck and no sort of lubrication along the way. So if you're somebody who knows that you're already going to forget maintenance down the road, you don't have to worry about it with this treadmill. The degree on the curve of this belt deck is 8.4 degrees, and then it has 112 ball bearings. Now, obviously, a lot of manual treadmills have a ball bearing function, but when I went ahead and looked at other websites, so the Zebex or the Trueform Runner or the Assault Runner Pro, I could not find anywhere on the website that really stated what the ball bearing on that machine was, where the Bells of Steel says that it offers 112 ball bearing function. Now, with that, you would expect a little bit more smoother ride, and on the website, it does claim that this is like an ultra smooth running surface. I would almost disagree. I did feel like there was a little bit of hitch in it every fourth step that I took, a little bit more resistance, and not as smooth as I would like. Now, obviously, the Assault Runner Pro is $1,000 more expensive than this manual treadmill here, so I don't know if I could compare it. It is a little bit oranges to apples. With the Assault Runner Pro, like if you are expecting something to do a lot of Metcons on, if you are wanting to do interval training, if you are wanting to do sprint training, I would not go with this one. And even the website claims that. With this treadmill, I do think this is really great for those wanting to do a little bit of jogging and a lot of walking. But overall, I wouldn't do a lot of sprinting on it. And that kind of brings me to a confusing point that I had. So on the screen, it is a basic screen. There's nothing fancy about it, but it is very user-friendly. I was able to navigate my way through it like without any sort of directions. But it does have one set of programming. So it only has interval programming. So you can do your set intervals, or it has a 20-10 split or a 10-20 split. Now, one thing that I am confused about is a lot of times whenever you're doing interval training, it's like you want to get up to speed really quickly. So you're taking that 20 seconds, sprinting, doing a little bit of recovery in that 10 seconds before you continue on with that 20 seconds. However, on the website, it does say not to go to a full sprint on this. So it is a little confusing that they have almost like a interval program that's function is for like all-out sprints on this, but despite that, I was still able to use it at a moderate pace. Now, one thing to say is as I did get going on my first interval, I did notice that like I started to come really close to the back of that deck, and I actually grabbed onto the handlebars to like stop myself. It kind of freaked me out a little bit because this is such a small treadmill. The running deck on this is only 47 inches long and 17.3 inches wide. It also has 4-inch foot rails that are great for stepping on after you've done your interval, and it slows down pretty quickly, so you don't necessarily have to worry about it, but it is something to be aware of. The warranty on this is 5 years on the frame and then 2 years on parts. Now, the overall cost of this treadmill is $2,000, so that is more expensive, but when we compare it to other manual treadmills out there, like overwhelmingly, this is one of the cheapest manual treadmills that we find. Another thing that I like about manual treadmills in general, and this is no different, is it has a higher weight capacity. So what we typically see is around 400 pounds for a manual treadmill, and this is no different, having a weight capacity of 396 pounds, allowing so many people to be able to use it. One thing to be aware of is that this is a very large and heavy box that arrives by freight to your house. So know that going into it, and you're definitely going to want to have 1 to 2, maybe even 3 more people help you move this around. Another call out that I have about this is it has a little like cubby holder for your phone, but when you place it in there, then you can't see the screen. So I was using the interval setting. Obviously, I didn't have my phone in the cubby holder because otherwise I wouldn't know when to start and stop. And the sound on this is super quiet. So it does beep when you start and stop. But if I had headphones in and I was relying on like a beep to alert me, like I just wouldn't hear it. And so for that, I do feel like there's a little bit of a miss because the sound isn't very good. And also if you put your phone in the phone holder, your screen is blocked from view. All right, so who do I think that this treadmill is good for? I think those who are looking for a manual treadmill that's more affordable, absolutely yes. I think that if you are looking for some sort of like more aesthetic piece of gym equipment, maybe you want to keep it in your living room and use it as you're watching movies at night, whatever it is, then absolutely yes. Those who are wanting to do primarily walking and jogging, absolutely yes. Those I don't think it's good for. Anybody who's wanting to do any sort of like Metcon or full out sprinting, I just wouldn't buy this treadmill. If cost is an issue for it and you have your heart set on a manual treadmill, again, I would look elsewhere. I do think this is a more budget-friendly manual treadmill. But overall, I still think it is right for some people. Not necessarily right for me, but right for Sam, which is great because we all have different opinions about what we want. If you go ahead and try out this treadmill, let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. This has been Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews. Peace.